On this episode of Coding with Kate, I'm going to give you all an update of what I've been doing for the past month or two. I don't really remember the last time I uploaded a video, but it's been a while. Not much has happened, but I at least wanted to give you that update so you know what I'm doing, how's it going, etc. So far, I have not received any interviews for any of the jobs that I've applied to in coding, which is very, very frustrating. And I knew it was going to be like this, but I didn't realize how much it was going to knock down my motivation. So as you can tell, I haven't been making videos because I've just lost my motivation to practice coding, and being in medical records isn't really offering me much experience with it, so that's not helping either. And it's a shame because every day I can slowly feel that knowledge and the skills that I've learned just like fade away. But I still feel like I have a lot of the concrete skills down pat with coding, so that's fine. But a lot of the nuance and working on complicated cases, etc., that's just going away, I think. And I feel like I've hit the max on what I can do with the materials that I have for my courses, so in the practice books, etc. I feel like a lot of it's getting a little boring because it's all the same skill level and a lot of it is pretty easy. So I felt like, I don't really need to do that, but there aren't that many case studies to work off of. So that's kind of where I think is the most important practicing to gain skills, but there aren't that many case studies. And I can't buy any of the new materials because they're all with the 2018 fiscal year code books that I don't have. And again, it doesn't really make sense for me to buy all new code books when I could potentially be getting a coding job by the end of the year. So I'd have these 2018 code books that I spent $300 to $500 on that I won't need. So that just doesn't make sense. So I'm kind of at this place where it isn't helpful to be doing the same simple practice questions, and I don't have the case studies to further my skills when it gets to more of the complex or even real life type cases. Ugh. So that's insanely frustrating for me, and that's what's really dropped my motivation because I don't want to do it because I know it's not going to be helpful and I'm going to get even more bored with it. So, another thing that I'm going to be working on this week and hopefully tomorrow. I still have like 2 courses left to officially complete in my program, but it's all the final exam. So I had the final exam on the professional practice, whatever that course was, and I believe the reimbursement. So it's just taking the final exam for those so I can say officially, I've completed the program. I can't believe I waited this long and I didn't do it. But again, my motivation was going way down, and all of a sudden it's a month, 2 months later. I'm like, okay, I need to go back to that. So hopefully I'll be doing that tomorrow. And I'll give you an update if I do finish it and let you know what happens when you've completed everything. Do you get a certificate that you completed the program? Do they send you a transcript saying these are the courses you completed and that's the entire course? I have no idea if you even get any of that documentation. I don't know. So when I do that, I'll give you an update. So then you know, for those of you who are going to be taking the HEMA program or are currently in it and want to know what happens at the end, hopefully I'll be able to give you some answers. Work is going fine. In some areas I'm getting a little bored with it just because it's the same stuff and I want to be doing more coding things, but medical records in my department, we just don't touch that much coding stuff. And if you do, it's because you're doing the highly complex stuff that I'm nowhere near ready to even look at. So I don't really get to do anything with coding. So where I'm at right now is I've been doing a lot of stuff on Epic, so a lot of scanning directly into Epic, which can be a little bit complicated just because you need to figure out what are these documents? Is there an order for it? Is it from our doctors or from an outside facility? If it's from an outside facility, what do you do with it? What are the protocols, etc.? And I've been getting very good at it, which I'm very excited about. And then also when we do outpatient rounds to the clinics, etc., that are connected to our hospital, we also go up to the transplant clinic and we pick up documentation that needs to be entered into Epic, even if it's not from our facility, but since it's with patients that are going to be getting transplants, already have transplants, etc. I don't know the rationale behind why we have to keep all of that and why they need it all in the record, like if they had a dental exam or just a regular checkup with their general physician, etc. Like some of those things, I'm not entirely sure why we actually need to have that in the record, but we do. So we get folders filled just of them, and sometimes we don't get anything from the transplant clinic. Sometimes we get 2 inches worth of documents. And the one frustrating thing is we had changed our procedure for how we scan in documents from the transplant clinic, and there were 3 employees that were trained on it who were then going to train everyone else, 1 person per shift. But for some reason, our first shift trainer is someone who's doing the high complex stuff with the doctors and missing documents and blah 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 and like all of that super complicated stuff. So she's busy her entire shift and doesn't have time to train people? I don't know. So there's really only like 3 people on first shift that are trained to do it. And you only do, well you should, only do transplant scanning when you're on the outpatient rounds, because when you receive it, you have time, you do it. But not everyone is trained in it. So thankfully I'm trained in it, but then that means I might be scanning transplant stuff all day because it's been piling up for the last 2-3 days. That's what's been happening. And Friday, we had received the 2 inches of transplant. And of course, the person who is doing rounds, she's training on outpatient. She's never done outpatient before. She's a new employee, so of course she's not trained to do it. But the person who's training her isn't trained to do transplant scanning, so she couldn't do it either. So when I came in on Saturday, that's usually when I was scheduled to purge, I decided to get through all that transplant. So it took me about 4 hours, maybe a little bit less than that. And then we had a ton of other documents that get scanned into our historical encounters. So that's very, very old records that came from the outpatient rounds. So the doctors in the outpatient setting wanted that in the record so they could refer to it because it's either a new client, etc., whatever. And we had like 5 inches of that, and I only got through about half of it. So I was scanning all day. And I think when I was doing productivity, when I counted everything that I scanned, I think I scanned about 147 documents. When we are scanning transplant, and especially historical, we only count how many patients we scanned in and not how many specific documents, because sometimes there might be 10 documents per patient. So I was doing that. I wasn't counting every individual document scan. I was counting patients. So I went through about 147 patients that I scanned stuff in for. I was a busy bee. But all the transplants done, and I finished up the rest of the historical when I worked yesterday, Monday. So, woohoo! So that's a lot of what I've been doing lately. Picking up all of the Epic scanning stuff that other people either don't have time for or they're not trained on. But again, that doesn't help with coding, so I'm a little frustrated. And I don't have time to really look at any of the documents, especially if it's procedures or things like that where it has the actual ICD-10 codes on it. I don't have time to look through it because I have to keep my productivity high, etc., and there's just a lot to scan in. Ugh. So I'm a little annoyed that I haven't received any bites with my applications for coding positions. But my coworker who works on the weekend, she works at a different hospital in the coding department. She started out in billing at that hospital, and she said maybe you should look at going into billing first and then do a lateral transfer into coding, because with billing you'll have more experience with the codes. She summed it up as, when claims are denied by the insurance company, they send us that information saying so-and-so isn't correct. You know, this code isn't correct, blah, blah, blah. And it's up to the biller to either figure out why the code is incorrect. Is there missing information? Is there a modifier that shouldn't be there, etc., etc., and then let the coders know this is what you need to fix. Or if you already know they were supposed to put on this modifier, I've seen this 20 times already today, I'll just add on the modifier and send it back and everything will be fine. So you are doing a lot more with the actual code. So with that hospital, I sent in 3 or 4 applications because they had about 3 or 4 billing positions open. So I applied to all of them. There were, might have been only 3, I don't really remember. 1 for a full-time Medicare team, so the billers that deal with just Medicare claims. A full-time one for the Medicare team. And then I think there was one with the HMO team. I feel like there was a 4th one, but maybe not. And the full-time Medicare one was denied. Oh, which is so frustrating because it's entry level. It's an entry-level position. It's so frustrating. So now I'm just waiting on the last billing positions to be reviewed, and hopefully someone will ask me for an interview. And then they just posted another coding entry-level coder 1 position, so I applied to that. So that's what I'm dealing with right now. But aside from work and stuff, I have been keeping busy with, I've been working out again. Yay! I stopped working out over the winter just because, of course, in winter my motivation just goes way down, so I just don't do it. And my diet just went out the window a little bit. So working at a desk in medical records does not help that. So I decided to start working out, and it's going great. I have a tattoo appointment next week, Monday. We will be adding to, I'm not entirely sure where the frame of the camera is, but adding to my koi. We're going to do stuff on somewhere around the back of my arm and maybe up onto my upper arm. Not entirely sure. I left it up to the tattoo artist to decide on what it's going to look like, etc. But we're going to stay within the style of Japanese watercolor or sumi ink, that sort of thing. So next week I will hopefully have a tattoo, which is exciting. What else? I took off work for 2 weekends in a row at the end of July because here in Milwaukee we have the Air and Water Show, so the U.S. Air Force Thunderbirds are coming into town. Can't wait to see them. I go every year. And then the weekend after that is the EAA Air Venture. That is a experimental aeronautic association thing. It's essentially a big festival type thing with all planes and stuff. And they do air shows every day of the week because it's about a week long. And then I go Friday and Saturday and sometimes Sunday to see the day show, and then on Saturday they have a night show. So all the planes are lit up and there's pyrotechnics and fireworks and all that fun stuff. So I will be doing that those 2 weekends, but since I only work Friday, Saturday, every other Monday, the way it worked out, it's essentially having 3 weeks off. So it's going to be a great vacation because I don't take off from work. There's no point when I only work 2 to 3 days a week. It's just silly to take off. So it'll be nice to have 3 full weeks off. Woohoo! So hopefully I'll be back into going over coding stuff, making videos. If not, I'll try to do a video here and there of what's been going on update-wise with the job, etc. And other than that, I think that's it. I also might make a Q&A video sometime this week because I have questions that I saved from like 4 videos ago. Oh, whoops. So I will hopefully bust through those because there's a lot. And I've answered all of them already. But for those of you that did ask the question, answered it, and then you're going to see me answer it on camera like a month, 2 months later, sorry. So I'll bust through those because I'm getting annoyed with seeing them in my inbox. I just want to get them on camera and delete them from my inbox. So we'll try and get that done in the next week or 2. We'll see what happens. But anyway, so subscribe to this channel so you can get all the notifications on the videos that I post so you're always in the know, even though I've hit a bit of a lull. Hit that subscribe button because then when I do post one, you'll know about it and you won't forget about the channel. You can also comment below if you have any other questions about being in medical records and what's been going on with billing and coding as far as the applications. If you have any questions on that, post them down there, and any other questions outside of what I do, where I work, etc. Post them down there. We'll see if I can answer them. And also like this video if you were happy that you saw this video. And then I'm back temporarily. We'll see. Hit that like button so I know that you're watching. And hopefully this was entertaining for you. And at least insightful on some of the stuff that I talked about. And I'll see y'all later. Bye!